and welcome. I'm Krysta Gibson, and I have something a little different for you today. I'm going to be chatting with a woman named Debra Zachow. Now, Debra is a tarot reader. She's the founder of Grow Your Light, and she really works with people everyday people like us, who have an interest in self-awareness and discovery and developing your own unique talents. She's a master of tarot, and she provides private coaching sessions as well as video courses with live practice meetings. And she has developed an online tarot training course, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. The reason, I just want you to kind of know her background and kind of what she does, but today I want to talk with her about her creative process. This is what I think, whether you're interested in the tarot or not, if you have any interest in creativity, which I think most of you do, you may find this really interesting. So she just came out with this tarot deck called Clarity Tarot, and it's a set of cards. It's a tarot deck. I love the edges of them are all sparkly gold. And she has a little book with it that fits into the box, so it all comes in this box. So what I want to do is talk to Debra and find out more about how did she decide to do the deck, how did she put together her creative process for working with other people, approaching a publisher, just all of those things, kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And then near the end, she's going to talk about, and I'll post it here as well, about some opportunities for you and getting a discount on the deck if you're interested in it and that sort of thing. So I'm getting ready to have my discussion, my chat with Debra. So come along with me and let's see what Debra has to say about her creative process and how that might apply to you and maybe any big creative project you're either doing or thinking about doing. Hi, Debra. So glad we could get together like this.
I'm so excited too, Krysta. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I just love technology, how we can be in two different places and meet like this and then share it, alternate times. Anyway, it's amazing.
It's wonderful.
So I love your deck, and I really love the screen behind you that I already showed everybody your deck and kind of as a beginning. So we could just kind of jump in, and I explained your background. I know you've worked with tarot a long time, but how did you decide to do your own deck, and kind of what process did you use in doing it?
Okay. So this is a cool story, I must say, only because I'm the type of person to follow my fascination. And I studied the 9 dimensions of Discovering the 9 Dimensions by Barbara Hanclough. And she said, and I follow this now, is that everyone's born for only one reason, and that is to follow their fascination. And when I thought about that over and over again, I was thinking, when I'm in the muse, let's say I'm curious about pottery or writing a book or something like that, I really do allow myself to go in until I hit a brick wall or I have to go to work or and see if it sticks. When a creative idea is sticky, where you can't get it out of your mind, then you need to put it to the test. So personally, I love the tarot because I love helping people with their lives and things. But because life has synchronized up an opportunity for me to work on the advisor hotlines, I was able to pick up the phone and talk to people one right after the other instead of, I just did a lot of readings over and over again. What I discovered is that when certain cards came out, a combination of cards, it meant, I thought, I had this impulse, I wonder if it means a certain thing. And so I'd ask the client, sometimes when this comes up, it means this, and got reassurance. So I developed my muse, my fascination began first with the tarot, and then it grew into a different way to read the tarot, a vetted way of certain cards coming out. So I thought, I'm onto something. So I started writing a book, putting my thoughts on paper, but nothing took hold. So then I started teaching it in a brick and mortar place because it was something on the inside of me that had to come on the outside of me. So anybody who's got a creative muse that or thought or impulse that becomes sticky, just start doing it, start sharing it, and see where, it's like tossing your net wide and see how life is synchronizing up the benefits and glory of that. I taught a class, and this woman comes in. I knew her. She's an artist, Kate Matthews. She's the one who did the illustrations for the deck. Right. She came to a tarot class, and she stayed after. And I said, Kate, I didn't know you wanted to learn tarot. She sat through the whole class and looked quite interested. And I thought, this was new. She says, I don't really want to learn tarot. I love the illustrations. I love the meanings of each card. Like every card has a certain look to it, and the little butterfly and the bee means something on this card, and the ladder means, because this is what she developed in with her muse. So she had this sticky idea of doing a tarot deck. I had a sticky idea of having a theory of how things are interpreted differently than what is, and life brought us together.
Right. Wow.
And so then we were able to collaborate, and that was the first time I've not gone solo on a project. Like my art, I like to do art, and I like to do it alone and the creative stuff. This is the time, and it was interesting because I do numerology, and it was a 2-personal year, a collaborative year that I was in, which I thought, I made a note of that. And then we did the back and forth, and she devoted herself to create 2 cards a week. I devoted myself to do the wording, because there's different words at the bottom of each card, and then bring forth my new theory about tarot, how to read it, new system, I guess. And then it was created. But here's an important part I discovered. When you have a sticky creative idea and you move through it, it will spoil and become unsticky and loose if you try to decide where your creation is going to live after you've created it.
Oh, interesting.
It will evaporate. So if I paint a picture saying, okay, this is going to go in the gallery, and I know so-and-so is going to see it, maybe the newspaper will come in. All of a sudden, I'm rigid, and I need to create a subject that is appropriate for everybody. You see what I'm saying? It just starts. And as I'm creating, I think about the newspaper, maybe taking a picture of it. If I created that deck saying, I'm going to take this new theory of mine, and move it into the hotline. I belong to a lot of people who work on the hotlines, right? I'm going to take this new subject to all the other professionals. I'm going to explain my new theory and system and subject myself to the criticism that is going to have to happen.
Right.
Because you have to be a little brave. Your self-esteem has to be about a foot ahead of you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If I had done that, I don't think the deck would have been so successful.
Why? So I think that's really important for creatives to hear.
Yes. I've got chills now. Because it's hard. It's a little tiny nuance that I noticed, mainly because I like to live a solitary life. I don't have a lot of distractions. And so I just take note of these little bitty things. So if I knew that by describing a certain card, the basics of this card means the same thing for everybody, but my interpretation when it's next to this card means something different than anybody else has ever tried before. Only because, not out of my imagination, it's because I put it to the test. Thousands and thousands of readings when this combination comes up, see? So I make a note of it and I start reading like that. And now I'm going to bring it to people who've only known it at a certain
Right,
way, and
right.
I'm going to play a different way. That would take too much. That would be crazy making for me, and it would, because I really do, and I am not a bit. I'm not comfortable here on this video. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable marketing and going on saying, you have to learn my system and you have to love my, and I have an obligation to do that since it's published. So that's why I didn't think about that when I was developing it.
When you were actually creating
Does
it.
that kind of answer that nuance?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say, and I think this is really valid because I've had this happen. And what the way I like to express it is when I'm working on a project, a creative project, whether it's a book or my newsletters or whatever it might be, or if I'm starting something new, what I find is I need to protect it and I need to keep it close to my heart and within myself until there's a point where it's okay to share it with other people. If I share it too soon, which is, I think, what you're saying, if I share it too soon, it evaporates. It's like protecting this little egg, and if you let the little bird peck out too soon, it'll just be crushed. And that's kind of, I think, what you're saying.
I think it's because when you expose what you have on the inside creatively, if you expose your creative project to the outside, your imagination of what other people are going to feel about it will leak in and will change your art.
Mm-hmm. And I know manifesting teachers, one of the things they share, and this goes way back to Joel Goldsmith and a lot of the others, is when you're in the process of manifesting something, you need to protect it until it's really strong enough to withstand other people's energies coming in, their criticisms, their judgments, which is what you're talking about, them saying, well, she's wrong, that's not what it means. And or somebody will say, well, what a fool is she that she thinks she can write a book? I mean, who the heck is she? And once that energy hits you, if you're not strong and your project isn't old enough in terms of being a baby or an adolescent or whatever, it will crumble. And so it's the same thing. And I think that some creatives fall into that trap of they get so excited about what they're doing and they tell people too soon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it will blossom.
Yeah, exactly. You need to give it that space to do that. Now, how did it work for you in this collaboration? Because I know that many creatives or artists and so on really like to work alone, which you kind of said that. So this was a new thing for you. How did, because sometimes we have to involve other people. There comes a point in any creative process where you can be all alone, but you've got to share it. How did you kind of break into that so that it worked for you? Was there a particular thing you did?
Break into the collaboration?
Or was it easy? Did you just fall into it and it worked?
As I mentioned, I'm not I can get possessive of what I think should be best. I know everybody is that way, but there were a few cards that I had problems with, images. So she would have the card, she would study what everything means in it. She would create this and that, and I would have a hard time with it. And I tried not have that show and to keep in mind that it's a collaboration.
Right.
It's not just my show,
right.
It's a collaboration. And for the most part, what surprised me, because I had a little hard time with collaboration, I think it's art, it's what happens.
Right.
What I discovered on the other side of that, to my surprise, is that Kate, sticking to her guns for her art, contributed a whole new aspect of the deck that I didn't even realize was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So much so, I didn't realize it was going to be there until after the book was written and
Ah,
it was published, and I started promoting it. And I'm going, oh my God, there's something. Let me just tell you kind of what it was. There's a few things. I put a yes, no in this, and I put
right.
a, all this stuff. And then she wanted to put in different races and customs and impulses that way, all that stuff. So it's all this mix and rich. There's a card that indicates like apprentice. I
Mm-hmm.
won't tell you which one it is. And she illustrated it differently than I would want it illustrated, but I let it go. And then I thought, oh, because what she added to it that I didn't realize till later was that she added different eras as well.
Oh, okay.
So this is wonderful because the person, when you're an intuitive, you have many doorways you can go into. It's not me. I start my doorway into the room of knowing or being able to advise. Mine is numerology and comedy, blah, blah, blah. There's other people who will go in through, will go through the actual literal meaning of the card. They'll go through that. They'll go through feelings. They'll go through, there's all these different doorways into the knowing, the room of knowing. Those advisors that want to study and provide service through past lives, or there's culture in the 50s, the culture was so different.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you get, when I teach like mediumship with the tarot, and here we are with let's say an older father figure who passed away. Let's give that. And then right next to it, I have this card that was in the 50s or 40s or even past that. Then I can go in, and that's a message from that deceased loved one. So I can energetically move into that feeling, and this deceased loved one can speak through that door of understanding. So there's different things,
Mm-hmm.
long and short of it. She insisted on something I was like this about, and decided to let it go. Just it's a collaboration, it's not all about you, Deb. That's what it was. my And here she was, this brilliant imagery that came out, and I'm able to teach through the Akashic records even. So it's amazing if you let it grow.
So
even if you get huffy about it, even in the process,
right.
and I got huffy enough to,
Mm-hmm.
but trust life and and the path, that even if you act poorly, life is still make it work for you. So,
It sounds like what you're saying, and this makes a whole lot of sense, is that, if you're going to collaborate with somebody, you've got to be flexible. And yes, you can have your opinions. Yes, you can have this is the way I think it should be. But there may be situations where you're going to have to give in, because it is a collaboration, and trust
yeah,
that the resulting object, whatever it is going to be right. In other words, there's a reason why that other person is insisting. There's a reason why they brought up something differently, different from how you might do it. There's one thing Wayne Dyer says about relationships that I think applies here. And he says, because he's talking about people who say, well, I want somebody who's going to be just like me, and we're going to like all the same things and do all the same things. And he said, if in a relationship, the two people always agree, always want to do the same thing, there's one too many people in that relationship.
interesting.
And it's with the collaboration, it's a collaboration. So and unless it's the sort of thing where the deal is, okay, I'm going to tell you what to draw and you do exactly what I say. But then that's not a collaboration, that's more.
Not,
yeah. Anyway, that's what I hear you saying is you may dig your heels in at some point, but
I got to tell you one thing is that I have heard that theory over and over again, but I felt when it happened to me said it was different. It wasn't going to work out. You know what I mean? So anybody who's listening to this, who's collaborating and frustrated, you're listening to Krysta and Wayne Dyer, that everything's going to be okay. Really trust it. To my surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was way after it was even published.
Mm-hmm.
To my surprise. So now I can confidently tell you, you are right, Krysta. And Wayne Dyer. Wayne.
So one other thing I'd like you to speak to, and then I want to, I know you're going to have a special for our viewers, but what I'd like you to do for a moment is just think about somebody who's watching this, who is getting ready or is in the process of writing a book, doing a deck, drawing a picture, whatever. But it's a big project. It's not just a weekend thing. It's a big project. Having just gone through this and the other things you've been through, what would you say to them? What kind of advice or direction would you share with them?
So we can all agree that you need a little checklist. So if you're, little things like if you're going to write a book, if I was going to write a book about fishing, I would write on a sticky note fishing, and then all the reel, the rod, the lakes, the different. I would have that's a checklist. I highly recommend anybody who has a sticky creative feeling, don't keep yourself in balance. So this is what I discovered is that, we have our routines. When you wake up, you make your bed, you tend to your animals. Of course, that's what I do, get coffee. And then I do all these things. I exercise and drink this tea and shake and take my walks. And that gives me a balanced life. When you're in a real creative burst, when I was doing this book, I got to tell you, I went to bed with the same clothes I woke up in. Yes, wow. I tended to my animals and I brushed my teeth, but I grabbed a carrot or a banana or ordered DoorDash. I didn't leave the house. I didn't answer the emails. I didn't even check my emails. I didn't make phone calls. Everything was pushed to the side. And I did not say, I should really make my bed. I should really have more vegetables, or I should call in and see how so-and-so's doing. No. Once and allow maybe a long weekend. So let's say you have a book in you. You just can't, it's sticky. And you can't get yourself off the mark at home. And so you have a family. Put it in your budget that you check yourself into the Ramada for a weekend, for 4 days. And you go there and you don't brush your teeth. You don't change your clothes. You just do whatever you want at that time. And the book is going to be born. Then once it's born, once you get the sticky notes, okay, this is the chapters of, then you can go home and do it and stay in balance. But in the beginning, if you allow yourself to not go to yoga, but write, or put that clay on the wheel, or whatever
it is that you're doing.
Right. And that's what I find. That's my advice to anybody.
I had never heard that before. That is really, I'm going to look at that because that's not how I normally do things. And I'm listening to you and going, it's kind of like allowing yourself to get so immersed in it that you're building this, almost like you're building this ball of energy, and really just focus on doing that. Don't be distracted. Don't draw it out over 6 months. And then once you have that ball established, then you can go back home and play with it and take it apart and whatever. What great advice.
Well, and I had done that before when I was much younger. I decided I wanted to write a certain book on a certain topic. And I did exactly that. And at the end of 3 days, I realized that it wasn't going to happen because I lost interest. What I really, so I was able to completely have an opportunity to be completely bored with the topic. And I think, there's not enough momentum. And here it's been sticky this whole
Mm-hmm.
time. Now when I say, okay, live, bring me what you got. And I think, okay, now I can let it go.
That's great. Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
By allowing yourself to do that, if it isn't real, whatever words are, it's not to be, it's only sticky in a certain way, but if you really give yourself over to it and it dissipates
Mm-hmm.
to boredom or whatever, then yeah, it wasn't meant to be. And let it go. Move on to the next thing. Speaking of that, what is your next project? Do you have another new project that you're doing? And I know that you wanted to make an offer to our viewers.
Oh,
so
yes.
let's kind of talk about what's next, if you want to share that.
I would love to.
Yeah.
So what I did is I have the Clarity Tarot deck, and there's a really fat book. I don't have one right here. A really fat book.
This one.
That comes. Oh, thank you. And so I start educating you about my system through there.
Right.
So you can go and build from there. The publisher wanted me to write another book because I wanted to go a little bit farther and then do reversals and combinations and crosses. So I wanted to, and then give you a feel for what readings are like and things. The reason I'm doing this, and it became so sticky, is because there's been times in my life that I was looking, therapists, girlfriends, boyfriends, mothers, fathers, co-workers. I'm just looking for the person that has the right combination of words to help me go, oh, okay, now I can go on. Now I know what the next step is. My dream is to build a force of people, the average person who can tap into a certain point, fast or slow, but a certain point to be able to advise another so they can just take a pause and say, okay, not say do this, this, and this, and this, and this is going to happen. No, this is much bigger than that. You're not a fortune teller, but I teach you how to have the right combination of words so people know. Because when you have the right combination of words, oh, that's true. It makes you go, that's true. And that's what I want to teach. And what I have done is I have a video course online. It's 31 videos. They're short and everything, but it gives you a really good background on the meaning of each card and some of my stuff that I've discovered. And then I did that. And so my goal is to get someone from novice to pro, if that's what you want to do, novice to pro in a very short amount of time. After what I'm doing after that video course is I'm starting really a lot next year is to have these like practice sessions. It's the best way to do it, but it's live Zoom. Let's say you're brand new to tarot and you go through the videos and you have a question or two. Then you join me on these live sessions and ask me, how does this fit in? How does it, or what if I give questions like, what if I give someone the wrong advice? How do I live with myself on that? What if I'm wrong? These questions on how to advise, how to be brave enough to serve another person that way. So those are practice sessions afterwards. And so for the present, the gift, it's usually $98 for the course. I'm discounting it 75%.
Wow.
So it goes for $24, I think $24.50 or something. Now I have a code that I'll send someone who wants that code. The way you get that code is to just simply go to my website and sign up for my newsletter. Yeah. I promise I do not send out newsletters. I'm not that way. I don't do a lot of that stuff. But and then write in the notes that you want the practice session, so I can put you in a certain list to notify you.
Okay.
So that's what I'd like to offer everyone today.
That's awesome. And I have that in writing. So I'm going to post that with this video. So people don't have to worry that they didn't write something down.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll make sure that, because you sent me all the information in writing.
Oh, yes, good. Okay.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much. We need to kind of wrap it up here. And I always feel like this time goes so quickly, and yet I try to be respectful of everybody's time. So anyhow,
You're good at that.
I so appreciate it. And
Thank you so much, Krysta.
yeah, I think that you said a lot of really thoughtful things. So I'm going to be curious to get to watch this myself again.
Me too.
Thank you so much, Debra. We will talk
Bye,
again.
everyone. Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye-bye.